Notices of this meeting were forwarded to the Inquirer, Courier Post, Clerk of the Township, District website, and members of the Board of Education, posted on the Board of Education offices at 17 Ariel Road, Blenheim, New Jersey. Please note that this board meeting may be audio videotaped. Please stand for the flag salute.
Can you make all them turn around this time?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Dentino.
Here.
Mrs. Fritz.
Here.
Mr. Gibbons.
Here.
Mrs. Gilch.
Here.
Ms. Gore.
Here.
Mr. Marks.
Here.
Mrs. Reese.
Here.
Mrs. O'Donnell.
Here.
Mrs. Johnson.
Here. May I
Web quorum.
have a motion, please, to go into executive session?
So moved, second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Dentino.
Yes.
Mrs. Fritz.
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons.
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch.
Yes.
Ms. Gore.
Yes.
Mr. Marks.
Yes.
Mrs. Reese.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell.
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson.
Thank you.
Passes.
Yes. Thank you. All right. Ms. Conley?
In the initial, just to give everyone a little clarification, the initial executive session this evening, there will be 2 items, and later this evening, there will be an additional 2 items. So
All personnel, correct?
all items of personnel, yes, sir. Okay.
I'd like to open this meeting, please. Can I have roll call, please?
Mrs. Dentino.
Present.
Mrs. Fritz.
Here.
Mr. Gibbons.
Here.
Mrs. Gilch.
Here.
Ms. Gore.
Here.
Mr. Marks.
Here.
Mrs. Reese.
Here.
Mrs. O'Donnell.
Here.
Mrs. Johnson.
Here. Can I have a motion, please, to approve the minutes for the executive session, June 19th, 2023?
So moved. Second.
Who was second?
Mrs. Reese.
Thank you.
This is on the new one, something like the original.
See, no, this is the
Executive.
Executive session. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Dentino.
Yes.
Mrs. Fritz.
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons.
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch.
Yes.
Ms. Gore.
Yes.
Mr. Marks.
Yes.
Mrs. Reese.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Donnell.
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson.
Yes. Can I have a motion, please, for board minutes for special session meeting, district goal setting, June 5th, regular meeting, June 19th, and special session meeting, June 29th?
So moved.
Is that Linda?
Can I have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Dentino.
Abstain on 629, yes on balance.
Mrs. Fritz.
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons.
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch.
Yes.
Ms. Gore.
Abstain on 629, yes to the balance.
Mr. Marks.
Abstain on June 5th and June 29th, yes on the balance.
Mrs. Reese.
Abstain on 629 and yes on the balance.
Mrs. O'Donnell.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes. At this time, we'd like to open the floor to public comments, agenda items only. Yes. Denny.
Tina Henry, Silverdale. A couple things. I looked at the organizational chart. Where do the teachers fall under?
That was a question I was going to have too.
Because you have all the cool chiefs, but you don't have the people running the show.
That's just what the administrators.
That's a question I was going to ask.
Well, I don't know if we're excluding any of the staff members, but historically, at least as long as I've been here, the organizational chart that you see a variant of it has always really just been central administration and some of the primary departments such as instruction or special services. That's the way really it's always been. I mean, technically, you would have staff under under Mr. Tro's instruction, we also would have staff under Dr. Martin that, serving students with special needs. So it's just historically always been that way.
Just because something's always been that way doesn't mean that you always have to. But I would think that this should be a global picture of the entire school district, where I thank you for having parents and the community up on top. That is really nice, but really it should be the students, because that's the reason why we're all here in this room, is because of the students. And then you have the teachers who help the students, and then you guys support the teachers and the bus drivers and the secretaries and whoever is in line in that whole big global thing. So I do think that it may need to be reworked, so therefore you have the whole entire picture of this district, not the people who typically wear suits. And then the other question that I have is with regards to the board's goals for next year. I had mentioned when you guys made the goals, which is really great, that it should be kind of quantifiable. You say to increase student achievement, but if you increase by 1%, then yes, you've made your goal. As one person who has leadership of 16, you don't want to, have a goal that is not obtainable, but you also want to have something that you know that you've definitely done. So I think if you could have a set percentage, if you're here at Y, how are you going to get to X? As opposed to saying, we're going to increase it. That's just like saying, I'm going to lose weight, but if I only lose 1 pound, yes, I've lost weight, but it's not my goal. And then the other question is the same thing with increasing social emotional development. What are you doing to do that for the staff of Gloucester Township? So those are my 2 questions.
Okay, that's something we're going to have to look into.
Okay.
That's goal number 3. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, the public portion for agenda items only is closed. Report of the solicitor.
We have no report at this time.
Thank you. Report of the superintendent.
Good evening, Mrs. Johnston, members of the board. I do want to make an adjustment, board would let me, speaking of district and board goals, under item 6.6M, as in Mary, under goal 2 of the district goals, when it speaks in text of addressing student discipline measure, where it says SROs for all schools, I'd like to change that to state, assess the prospect of SROs in all schools.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? And so with that said, I'd like to ask for consent resolution for items 6.2A through 6.6T.
Can I have a motion to approve, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, discussions?
I would like the organizational chart with the times that have changed, and, this goes way back, I know that, being on the board before, but I would like to see it say teachers and where they belong. They are an intricate part of this organization, and they should be on it. That's just my opinion, but I know it's been this way for a long time, but, we need to move forward. Without them, where will we be to? So, I truly believe that they should be on there.
I do have a suggestion, Mrs. Gilch. I mean, the board certainly could table it, or I believe the organizational chart does fall under policy. So approve this here tonight, but bring it to Mrs. Gore as the chair of policy, bring it to them to tease out and have it more reflective of all staff.
How does anybody else feel on it?
Well, I'm just, if we add teachers, then I would expect to see the bus drivers, the secretary, like everyone.
Right,
If we-
because we are a
Yeah.
whole picture.
Oh, no, I
And
absolutely
get that,
agree.
You know, you usually put the top people on here, but we are a whole picture.
And I'd like to
And
see it
without
say
all
more
of
than
them.
just, and staff, or
Right.
support, yeah.
Right.
I'm
So,
okay with approving it now if we're gonna look at it to expand it at a later date.
Yeah. I would be.
yeah,
okay
the
with
policy
that.
committee will look at it, that's great.
Okay.
Thank you.
You concur?
As amended, yes. So 6.2A through 6.6T as amended. And I have there's a motion from Mrs. O'Donnell, seconded by Mr. Marks.
I have a question, please. On O and P, is this the service that we discussed in special service, Navigate 360 LLC? Is that the subscription that the Glen Landing staff
No.
was currently using?
No, I think that's
No?
a different name. That was
Okay, it's not.
Alongside.
Alongside.
What's it called?
Alongside.
Okay. Okay, then now I have
Now-
another question.
Yeah, now I have a question with that.
Why is it Mullen Lewis and
And
not
not
Glen Landing? And what is it then? A subscription for?
Oh,
To navigate,
Mrs. Jones?
Yes.
Good evening, welcome.
Hi.
to navigate,
There's a question about a software that both Charles Lewis and Ann Mullen are purchasing, but the board doesn't see yet Glen Landing down for some, I believe, PBIS, yes.
Yes, we put in our
Rec, it's just not here yet.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just didn't make it to this agenda.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, roll call, please, as amended.
I have something I want to, just,
Oh.
I know it's a minor thing, but the
Okay.
changes I got, are those able to be brought up before the public comments on agenda items only? Because if somebody did have a question about something that made a change too, I know we often make changes after the public portion.
Yes,
We can do those in the future.
yes, we can.
Okay.
We only had one change.
No, I know, I'm
tonight,
just,
so-
it's not a big one today, but sometimes there's things that are added or removed or, something that somebody might have a question about and they have an opportunity at that time. What?
I agree.
Because I sat in that chair for years and asked that. It was never granted, but whatever.
Well, they didn't like you.
If there was a change made to announce it prior to the public speaking, and it just couldn't be done, Mr. Bilodeau. Just,
Well, it's a good
there
idea.
you go, Mr.
Progress,
Mr.
we're moving
It's a
forward.
good idea tonight. Thank you,
I'm
Mr.
sorry, I'm
Gibbons.
bitter.
Mr. Gibbons, it's a good idea tonight.
Thank you.
All right, can we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Dentino?
Abstain on 6.6C, yes on the balance.
6.6C. Mrs. Fritz?
She's busy.
Oh, Mrs. Fritz?
yes.
Oh.
I would like to table something.
That's what I want to know.
You have to redo the motion.
But the motion's out.
You have to redo it.
There's a motion on it.
Motion in a second. Motion.
All you have to do is, I move to table something, that's all.
They just have to.
But the motion's been made.
The
But
motion's
the
already
motion was
been
made,
voted.
that's where I got.
So Vice Mayor, Ms. Lister?
I don't know what it is.
I don't see a procedural problem with this.
No.
What,
Also-
to table something?
Yeah, I don't, why? Because one vote was called? I don't think
No, table
You
it.
can change your vote up until the gavel.
So you can table
Changes,
it, right?
right?
You can vote to, I mean.
What do you want tabled?
I would like the goal setting table until it's tight.
Oh, goals?
I second.
Okay.
That's what we already did.
We didn't table goals.
No, I thought we already
We
did
just,
them.
we moved, we changed
We
some
edited
stuff.
them.
Right.
Okay,
I would like to I'll second that.
okay.
Okay.
So, Mrs. Fritz moves.
So we need to
Is
vote
it
on.
to the county?
Yep, to
Table.
table. Yep. What is that?
So that would be.
6.6M.
6.6,
And
6.6.
no, it's M?
6.6M, it's just M.
M,
Mrs. Reese
Okay.
seconded it.
I don't know.
okay.
It is what
Roll
it
call
is.
now? Or no?
Who was the second on that?
Mrs.
Ellen.
Reese.
I think I was.
No, you
No, you
moved to
were-
table
you
it.
moved
The table, yes.
Second is Mrs. Reese.
Correct.
And then I guess we need a roll.
You didn't know in favor, right?
Oops, don't let
We
me
have to
overstep.
do a roll
Yep.
call.
Shut up,
You
Jen.
mean just on the table right now?
On the table.
Yes.
Yeah.
Roll call for the table, please.
Ms. Dentino?
When are they due? Is
I
that
don't know. When are they due to the county, Mr. Roldan?
I have to review that and get back. I don't know if we have, I mean, the purpose of having goals is to have them in place, work on them in the summer to be prepared for the school year. So any type of revisit or
We can have a special
fine
meeting.
tuning, then we certainly can approve these in the August meeting.
Or we could have a special meeting before that.
Yes, we could.
You can have 50 meetings if you want. I'm just asking a question.
It's just too.
No, I'm just saying, we could have a
I'll
special
look into
meeting
that,
too.
Mr.
you can have more than one a day?
Yeah. We can have 30 a month. I just want to know when they were due to the county.
I don't think it's a hard and fast date.
Yeah, I don't think there's a date.
No.
I think it's in Cusack.
Okay.
Okay.
It's in Cusack.
Can we have a roll call to table?
Mrs. Dentino?
Yes.
Mrs. Fritz?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons?
Yes.
Ms. Gilch?
Yes.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Ms. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes.
That passes.
Okay.
Okay, so can I have an amended consent resolution, Mrs. Johnson, for items 6.2A through 6.6T?
Okay, is there any other questions? We did have a motion to approve. Did we need to do it again?
You don't?
I don't think so. I was first. Mr. Marks was second.
Now you need a roll call now.
Roll call, please.
Okay. I'm assuming it's going to be the same.
Yes.
Mrs. Dentino, it's going to be
Abstain
yes with an
6.6.
abstain on
Yes on the
6.6C. Mrs. Fritz?
Yes, and tabled, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
6.6.
It's not part of what you voted on.
Yes, so yes.
Mr. Gibbons?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch?
Yes.
Ms. Gore?
Yes.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Ms. O'Donnell?
I am going to abstain on 6.6G, number 3746, and then yes on the balance.
Thank you. Mrs. Johnson?
Yes. Okay, at this time, can we have the report of the business administrator, Mr. McCauley, please?
Yes, asking for the board's approval on 7.1 through 7.7F, and after I get a motion in a second, I just want to clarify one thing on there.
Can I have a motion to approve, please,
So moved. Second.
as amended?
Who was first and second down there?
And Mrs. Reese and Ms. Gore was second.
Any questions, discussions?
I do in a second. I'm trying to catch up. Oh, you wanted to change something? Or
No, I just want to clarify what 7.7E is. It's an investment account, so we can earn a higher interest rate on idle funds. And what I mean by idle funds is things like capital reserve, maintenance reserve. There's millions of dollars that are just in the checking account, but I can earn 1.2% more if I move them off into an investment account, which is allowed under the Gupta law. which he knows it's,
It's not like overseas investment. Right?
yeah.
And what's that rate gonna go to? Would be one and a
We're
half
getting,
more?
we're getting a little over, we're like basically 4% on checking account, it's gonna go to 5.2.
Wonderful.
So it's like, what'd you say, 140?
About 140,000 a year more.
Okay,
Anyone else with questions?
I just had one, and I don't know if I've missed this for most of life, but on the June bill list, page 14, check number 130223, Gloucester County Special Services Commission, has a $10,800 line item that said out-of-county surcharge. Is that always?
Mm-hmm.
It's always broken down that way? Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Roll call, please.
Ms. Dentino?
Yes.
Mrs. Fritz?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons?
Yes.
Mrs. Giltz?
Yes.
Ms. Gore?
Yes.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Ms. O'Donnell?
yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes, abstain on check number 130173 and 130242. Yes on the balance.
Noted. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, Mr. Bilodeau, any old business?
Well, the roof on the building is finally back underway, and the metal has arrived, and they're putting the metal in. Someone commented that the building's starting to look like a Dollar General.
God bless.
I think they'll be completed in a couple weeks, so appreciate the board supporting the roof here.
Any new business?
I will send it home in the superintendent notes, but late last week, Mrs. Rosebounds did contact my office, and Mullen School had competed for a grant with Rutgers University and was one of 29 school districts in the state chosen by Rutgers. It has to do with, I believe, is it PBIS? So I think there's certain, I don't know when it takes effect because Mr. Ferguson had done so successfully for Lilly School, and his cohort, I believe, begins, it's over multiple years. So same for Mullen, similar thing. So it's a good thing for the districts. So,
And what do we get out of it?
well, you have the partnership with Rowan, they send staff, and they're trying to, I don't want to say perfect, but the positive supports for students
Okay.
is something we're getting at.
Very good, thank you. All right. Okay, at this time, the floor is open for public comments. Anyone like to speak? Dana?
Hiya, Dina Hendry, Summerdale again. So we have about 6 and a bit weeks for school, and I am guessing that not all positions are filled. I know where my kids go to school at Choose, there's 2 specials that are still needing to be filled, a librarian and Spanish. What is the game plan if we, or you, 'cause I'm not on the hiring process, if you guys don't find a librarian or a Spanish teacher for whether Choose or any other schools, like how will that impact the schedule and also the classes?
Well, let's hope we don't get to that point, Mrs. Hendry.
But do we have a plan B?
Well, certainly school's going to open, and there are substitute teachers that we have assigned to each of the buildings. That's not what we desire. We desire certainly certificated staff to be in place in advance of the school year, but we would continue to post and fill those vacancies.
So with the substitute, you may have somebody who doesn't speak Spanish, right? So how will they learn Spanish? Librarian, I'm not saying that it's an easy fix because anybody can say, hey, this is the Dewey Decimal System and, pick a book and let's learn about that. But Spanish, that's specific.
Mm-hmm.
So how would we teach the kids?
We would most likely have to come up with supplemental materials that we would use. So we would have to other districts often use videos and those sorts of things, which obviously are not as good as having a living, breathing teacher doing that, so we might have to have something where the substitute or whoever was covering the class would have some supplemental materials that would, the students can use to learn the material.
All right, fingers crossed.
Don't we have a job fair coming up soon too?
We had one, Mr. Marks, and actually was, I think, very successful. I don't know the exact number, but I thought the number Mr. Mercado provided was that 75 people had come through the job fair, and we made offers to 67 people.
Wow.
So,
That was a lot.
yep.
Anyone else? Yes.
Kelly Roder, Blackwood. Just in looking back at the district goals, goal number 4, create more opportunities to engage parents and caregivers in their student educational process. Before even realizing that goal, I wanted to just kind of ask if we could possibly consider going back to printing report cards for our students. As silly as it may seem that they have access to the parent portal, when I signed on to check who had logged in a week after report cards were distributed, I had less than half of my class had signed in and seen their report card.
And that's a lot.
Yeah. So.
There are no paper report cards?
No. Or progress reports. So, and we don't even know if they are actually seeing them. So we don't see, like, I know as a parent, I have to acknowledge that I've seen the report card. There's been times that I've forgotten to hit that little check, but I always in the portal, but it's not very easy to access sometimes if you're not familiar how to use it. Again, engaging parents, could we do some type of parent portal, how to access the parent portal, like seminar or something to just kind of, I have so many parents who call me all the time, how do I find a report card? I can't log in the parent portal, I don't know any of my information, and I don't have that to give them, so I usually just send a digital copy of the report card. I know, that's just a simple request. I know it will be costly because of all the children that we're printing report cards for, but I think if we're trying to engage our parents in their education, it's important for them to see their grades. The kids who need it the most, their parents aren't seeing those report cards. Their absences, they're not seeing the teacher comments and things like that. Even the kids that are doing phenomenal, the parents aren't seeing the praises that we're giving their children. And I feel like that's really important for the negative and the positive for parents to see in front of them as a hard copy. And signing the envelope like we used to do previously, just so we know that they've seen it. Because I've even had parents come to conferences and they're like, oh, I had no idea what this is a grade. I'm like, well, you get a test folder. Oh, I don't see that. Because that we're relying on the kids to get to them. If it's a report card, it's a little bit more, but then they don't always see the report cards, the progress reports. Because I'll say, hey, have you seen their progress report? They were making good progress. No, I don't know how to access that.
Yeah.
So that's just like a request. If we could consider going back to those paper copies.
Definitely.
Mr. Widow, is that part of the paperless era where the district wanted to go paperless? Why they stopped sending out paper report cards?
I think, Mr. Marks, yes, there's several things that the systems we have now can generate things, and the reliance, I think Ms. Rudder is saying, we have expectations that students are taking home their folders, and there's expectations that parents and guardians at the end of marking periods or even at progress report time are accessing their account, reading it. And honestly, when Mr. Cho and I talked about the state assessments, the state was sending beautiful reports home, and I talked to Mr. Cho about, they don't see how the kid is doing on their assessment, how they do with their peers in the other districts, or how they rank against the state. It's a lost, and the state prints out these beautiful reports. I said, let's do the cover letter and let's mail it. It was an expense at the time, but I think to Ms. Rudder's point is when you put something tangible in the hands of a parent, they're going to read it, they're going to see comments, they're going to see different behaviors, and I do think it ties into a goal of engagement, and that's what you're trying to get. You're trying to elicit something that they may see, and then that parent may be apt to contact a teacher like Ms. Rudder and say, hey, this is great, or hey, I'm concerned.
Right, and even if we reach out to parents, there are some
But-
parents who don't get back to us, and that's just life. But sometimes if they could have that report card, it would be wonderful.
Yeah, I think that's
Things
something
are-
we need to check
We
into.
can certainly look into it. Yep.
Thank you.
Yes.
I forgot to ask. From the winter and when summer started, we were waiting on the updated report to see if it was completed correctly for the violence report. Is that completed for, not the one that was from January to June, but the one that was previously presented?
September through December?
Yes.
The information, Mr. Hildebrand reported that, I think we talked about that at one of the board meetings in the late spring. He was able to obtain the state software that you report on a New Jersey homeroom. He put the corrected information, but the problem is, as to the report, it doesn't give an output. You can enter anything in, but often it doesn't give an output, so I have asked him to recreate the report with the updated information from the principals and to produce it so we can hand it out. And if
When
when
do you
it's,
think we would, I mean, because we've
I-
been waiting on, I mean, there's a group of parents that are anxiously awaiting to see the corrected data in the report. When is that gonna happen?
well, again, he compiled the information and he submitted it timely to the state. And he's been directed by me to produce a similar, he had up on a screen, and
Yeah.
it was very much like an Excel
Correct.
report, and that's not the printout. I said, well, you gotta go recreate it because people are asking for it. When it's prepared, the board will have it, and certainly, I
Do
can
you-
send a copy out.
Do you think, you know, I mean, when my owner looks for a report or something, he says, Dina, I need this X by this date, and that is my top priority to get it done. You know, especially now during the summer, you know, you have less things that, you know, you don't have student problems in a sense, where this could be a really great time to get it done. Is there a way that you can have this done by, like, August? Because we've been waiting, like, we've been waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and then now we're also waiting for the new report from January to June.
Yep.
And wouldn't it be nice for parents, whether it's one parent or 1,000 parents, to see that either A, things have gotten better
Yes.
before the new school year, or, oh boy, things have gotten worse, and what do we need to do? Like, it would be nice going into the new school year knowing.
I believe, based upon my conversation with Mr. Hildebrand, it would be ready before the August meeting. And I would, not to debate with you, but he has a very important role in the district, being supervisor of student special services. There are hundreds of people that bring their children to sign up, and his office is extremely busy in the summer. You would think that it would tail off, and there are departments in schools that certain things tail off. I can tell, if it's feast or famine for him right now, it's a feast because he's very, very busy. But he's still going to get that report done by August.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
If I'm understanding what you're saying, he reported it to the state, but we don't have the numbers? Is that what you're
It's-
telling her?
it's put on
Or
a
it doesn't look
spreadsheet for
pretty?
us. It's
like,
not
to give
pretty.
out?
In a more presentable format is what we're looking for.
So he's taking numbers we already have, putting it in a presentable format?
Yes.
Okay.
And I just spoke to him late last week on the matter.
This is supposed to be presented to the public twice a year, correct?
Yes.
So in August, he will be presenting both sets of data?
No, he won't. I did ask about the January through June. He indicates that's a September, October timeframe.
Okay, got it.
Okay?
Yep. We're taking advantage of Mr. Long not being here.
No more questions.
Need to see.
Anyone else have questions? Yes.
More of a comment, I guess, than a question.
Could you have your name, please?
Krista Mitchell, Hemmelport, in Muriel. I see a lot of positive things I came to the February meeting, a lot of parents were worried about the violence in Ann Mullen Middle School along with all of our other middle schools. So I do see a lot of positive goals here and things like that. I just kind of wanted to make a comment that after that meeting, there was a lot of parent volunteer at Mullen, which Ms. Rosebounds was really great with, where we did cafeteria duty, bathroom duty, just walking around and making sure the kids are sitting down and nobody's doing things they're not supposed to be doing. And it really was very positive from February to the end of the year, in my opinion. We had a really good feedback from the students. First, they wanted to know why we were there and if we were spies. And then they liked the fact that we were there. Because it's more of a mom or a dad sort of vibe than just a disciplinarian. So I would just like to make a comment that I would love to see that moving forward with the school year as we proactively fight the increase of violence within our middle school so our children feel safe. So I just wanted to say that. Thank you for that opportunity, and I hope we can continue to do things like that.
Thank you.
Board member comments.
Okay, and is there no more questions from the, seeing none? That portion is now closed. Is there any board comments?
Yeah, I would just like to say exactly, I walked through with Mrs. Filch through Luann to Luann Sever's viewing on Saturday, and I feel like we, for somebody who had been with the district for so many years, it's a total loss on us, and it was nice to extend. Her family felt like a lot of people from Gloucester Township went through, and they were very pleased.
Let's go. Anyone else?
I attended the STEAM camp at Lewis. Mr. Mason invited me out, and it was really cool little camp that they had going on there, and a lot of kids attended. It was good to see.
Great.
Just an FYI, we can't hear you guys, this thing's running.
Yeah,
I have no
we-
clue what you're saying.
Perfect.
They were commenting on how polite the audience was tonight.
Okay. Okay, at this time, we are going to have a second executive session. Will we have any action taken?
I don't believe there's going to be action taken, no.
Okay, so at that point, then, there'll be no action taken tonight.
We'll come out to a joint meeting.
We will come back out to adjourn the meeting, and you're welcome to stay, but pretty much it will just come back out and I'll ask for a motion to adjourn, and then we'll leave.
Mrs. Johnson, I would estimate the second executive session about an hour in length.
Okay, it would be about an hour that we'll be in there.
Mr. McCollum said that we could to go into it.
Can adjourn.
Can I have a motion and a second to go to the second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Dentino?
Yes.
Mrs. Fritz?
Yes.
Mr. Gibbons?
Yes.
Mrs. Gilch?
Yes.
Ms. Gore?
Yes.
Mr. Marks?
Yes.
Mrs. Reese?
Yes.
Ms. O'Donnell?
Yes.
Mrs. Johnson?
Yes. Okay, thank you.